relics, parallels, refractors, superfractors, super short prints, die cuts. Are we talking about some weird comic book universe? No. We're talking about sports cards. We're talking about the sports card universe. Happy hobby, I'm David Gonson. Before we start talking about relics and memorabilia cards and inserts and autographs and all the differences between all these different cards, I first wanted to reach out. If you are a sports card collector and you're dealing with a limited budget, this is the YouTube series for you. Make sure you subscribe. Also, before we get too far, don't forget to check out the video for my 500 YouTube subscriber giveaway. I'm giving away a PSA 6 Topps 1965 Frank Robinson card. It is a sweet one. So check out that video so you can figure out what you have to do to get entered into that giveaway. There's only 500 people at the most that could be in it, but there's only going to be so many that are going to do what they're supposed to do in order to get it. So make sure you're one of those because the odds are pretty good that you could win. All right, so we're talking about inserts and all the different special cards, I call them, outside of the base cards of a normal set. Now, you go back 50 years when our fathers and our grandfathers were collecting, and they were just looking at base cards. I mean, it was basically a set would come out and they'd buy packs, and whatever the packs had in them, that was what they had. This is back when they were really just looking for their favorite player, maybe even a favorite rookie card. But even back then, nobody was really thinking of rookie cards as much as just their favorite players and their favorite teams. Man, things have changed. Around 1989, when Upper Deck got into the game, all of a sudden they started having these special inserts, holograms, short print cards that were special to get. It was a big deal to get something that was a little different than everybody else's, and they were a little more rare, and that's what made them special cards. You get what I'm saying? A lot of these cards became chase cards, and that's what we're dealing with now. Here we are in the 21st century, in the third decade of the 21st century. It's all about the chase. The base cards have their place only in the fact that rookie cards are still wanted out of the base cards. But for the most part, base cards are passe at this point. Everyone's looking for the special parallel cards. Now, when we say parallel, what does that mean? Well, you could have a regular base card. It's numbered 300, but then you have a parallel of that card with a different color border, or maybe the finish on it is different, or maybe the card stock is different. There's all sorts of different parallels to that one card, to that one base card. So now quite often these parallels are just different colors, and maybe some of these are numbered. So the numbered parallels are even more important because there's only so many of them. And what makes them special is because they're so rare, some of these parallels are shorter numbered than other ones. Like maybe it's 1 out of 50, maybe it's 1 out of 100, maybe it's 1 out of 200, maybe it's 1 out of 2022, which is right now the gold parallels of a regular Topps 2022 Series 1 base card is numbered 1 out of 2022. So it means there's only 2022 of these cards made. So to get a rookie card, say Wander Franco, and that gold parallel, that's a big deal because with the overproduction rumors and the fact that there seems to be Topps cards everywhere, to have a card that's only 2022 of them made of Wander Franco, that's a big deal. And the fact that it's gold, it's a pretty cool looking card. That is a major deal. You want to get on and jump on one of those. Let me know if you get one because I'm looking for one myself, but I'm just saying. Like here's a version of a Buster Posey gold in the Topps 2022. If you flip it over, you can see the numbered spot right there. You can see where it's numbered. So that's how you know the difference. Sometimes you'll get colored parallels that don't have any numbers on them. Again, still cool, but it's just not numbered. So there's probably a lot more of them produced than a regular numbered serial parallel. So now these serial numbered cards, it's also a big deal if you get the serial number that matches the jersey of that player. You get a 5 out of 2022 gold. That's a pretty big deal for Wander Franco. That's his jersey number, and that makes that card super a duper a special. Or if you get a card that's numbered 1 out of 2022, or if you get a card that's numbered 2022 out of 2022. Anything special like that, that's a really big deal. in a lot of cases, a lot of people like to buy the lower numbered serial numbered card. Or if you get a serial numbered card or a parallel card that has the colored border around it, the same as the player's jersey, that's a big deal. Now it's a color match, so that's even more sought after. So again, Juan Franco, you get the blue parallel, even though it's not numbered, those are pretty highly sought after because they're pretty cool looking. They match his jersey pretty well. And some colors are just generally more attractive, like the black border or the gold border. Or if you get in some, like there's pink ones that are really cool, the red. Then you have some that are different styles and designs around the border, like camouflage, or it's Independence Day, or some other design that's around it that makes it stand out a little bit different. And then finally, we talk about one of one cards. That is called a superfractor, my friend. One of one. There's only one of that card made. And among the parallels, you also have foil cards. These are cards that are shiny. They might be a silver or a rainbow foil, or it might be a gold foil, and it's just got a gold border. So that's just another version. The foil cards, unfortunately, a little tough to grade because the edges have, it's like a foil edge, so it kind of tears easily. All right, so now let's talk about image variations. Now, I shouldn't even say image variations because there's different variations in general. So Topps will a lot of times do a base card, then they'll have an image variation of like some of the superstars or some of the top rookies. And basically it's a different image for that same base card. On the back, same exact back, has the number, the number of the card on there. Nothing different, but on the front, it's a different picture. So one of the ways you realize it's an image variation is because as you're going through a pack of cards, it's backwards. It's facing the other way. Have you ever done that? Open a pack of cards and one's facing the opposite way and you don't know why? That's why. It's probably an image variation. So what you can do is look at in the bottom of the card, there's a serial number, and that little serial number will tell you what the code is, and you can look it up. Beckett.com does a great job. They have a whole article for every set. It says image variations, Topps 2022 Series 1. It gives you all the codes. They'll tell you if it's a short print image variation. They'll tell you if it's a super short print. And it'll have the different pictures that are the different short prints. So that's pretty awesome itself. For instance, this Vlad Guerrero is an image variation short print. It's not the super short print, but it's a short print. A lot of times they'll do something like this. It'll be a friendly, like a really cool picture of them. It'd be maybe a really cool action picture, or it's one like this where it's just like a fan-friendly one. And if you look at the bottom, the code number, let's see if I can. The code number right there is what will tell you. So the last 3 digits will tell you what code it is to see what kind of variation it is. Now, one time earlier this year, when I was opening up a hanger of Topps Series 1 2022, I came across this was backwards, so I knew something was up. But it's a Randy Arozarena, and it's a advanced stat image variation. It's not really an image variation because it's the same image, but on the back, now you'll see I even scribble on there SPADV stats because I needed to know, hey, this is not just a regular card. It's an advanced. If you just look at it, it's the same picture, the same card number. Now it is numbered. You can see in the top, so it is numbered. So I guess it tells you that, but the stats themselves are advanced stats. If you can see that, like Babib, I think it has, let's see, does it have war on there? And let me see what it's got. Barrels, exit velocity, like that kind of stuff. So it's advanced stat stuff, which is pretty cool. That's a new thing I mean, in the past 5 to 10 years, that's a new thing in Major League Baseball, but now they're bringing it into cards, which is kind of cool too. So whenever you get a card that's backwards, make sure you check the code to see if it is an image variation or a variation of some other sort. As a matter of fact, when I buy a box of cards or a hanger, a blaster, or whatever, when I'm done looking through all the cards, I do like to go through and look through the codes to make sure all the codes are the exact same. And if there's one that's off, then I can find out, oh, why is this one special? What's going on with this one? All right, so now we can talk about a base card versus its refractor. So for instance, the refractors, so this is a regular Topps Chrome base card of Taylor Trammell. Now you look on the back, and there's nothing special on the back. That's just the Topps Stadium Club update number. But now this from last year, this Geo Ursula, this is a refractor. There's nothing really that you can't tell, but the coloring is a little different. But it's not going to stand out to you real well. So when you flip it over, you can see at the top there, right where my finger is, it says refractor right there. So that tells you it's a refractor. What does that mean? I don't know. It's a refractor. It's a little bit different than the base card. It's a little tougher to get. It has a different sheen on it. It's hard to explain, a little rainbowish kind of, but it's pretty cool. Now, Prism for basketball and football, they have what they call the Prism. It's like a refractor. It's Panini's version of a refractor. It's the Prism card. And again, on the back of it, you'll see Prism. For instance, Donruss Optic has Donruss Optic base cards and Donruss Optic cards, but then every now and then you'll get what they call a Donruss Optic Silver or a Holo. Flip it over and it has Prism on the back. For instance, I have a LaMelo ball here, try to get the shine off it. That is a Donruss Optic LaMelo ball. And you flip it over and you don't see anything up in the top there that says Prism or anywhere on that back of that card that says anything about Prism. Now, the Cole Anthony Donruss Optic rated rookie card that I have, same set. Now, this is a Pulsar, so it obviously has a different look to it. But you flip this over, and up at the top there, you can see where it says Prism. So right next to the rated rookie spot right there. So that's how you can tell the differences between those two. Similar with Topps. Topps has where it says refractor. Prism says Prism. Or Panini, I should say, says Prism. Now let's talk about relics or memorabilia cards. These are cards that usually have a little patch of a player's jersey, or it could be a relic of like part of a bat. Like I have an Albert Pujols bat from 2003. Or it could be a part of a base. Or it could be even a batting helmet. It could be a ton of different things, whereas a little slice of it is taken out and it's put inside that card. And now you own a relic. You own a piece of baseball history. Now, where it gets tricky is there are many player jerseys where when you read the back, you find out it's just player worn. It doesn't necessarily mean it's that player that wore it, and it doesn't mean that they wore that jersey in a game. You want game worn. That's the one. That's the tricky one that you really want to find is a game worn jersey patch. Even the player worn ones sometimes, it doesn't mean it's that player. It could be a different player. And there's been rumors where you see players just putting on a jersey for a second, taking it off, putting on another jersey for a second, taking it off. That counts as a player-worn jersey. That's not that big of a deal when you think about it, but that's where we're at. Now, the cool thing about player swatches, player jerseys on a card, if you get a jersey that's part of a logo, that's a big deal. If you get a jersey that's multiple colored patches, that's really cool. That's a big deal. But sometimes it's just a plain swatch of a white fabric or black fabric or whatever color his jersey is with no other stitching on it. It's kind of a little bit boring. Still pretty cool. You got a game-worn jersey patch. That's pretty neat. But the fact that it's not multicolored, that kind of brings it down a little bit. Then we talk about autographs. Now, obviously, what's an autograph? An autograph is an autograph card, a card with a player's autograph on it. But the different variations are you get an autograph of a sticker that's placed on that card. That's not quite as good as a card with the autograph on it. So they call that an on-card autograph. So remember the difference between a sticker auto and an on-card auto. The on-card one's a little more sought after. Oftentimes, too, you'll get redemption cards for autographs. So make sure you think about when you buy an older box that might have an autograph in it or redemption cards for autographs. That redemption might have expired by the time you bought that box. So even though it's cool to see a redemption, it might be already expired. So be careful with that. All right, so we talked about relics, talked about patches, talked about autographs, talked about rookies. But now, the rookie patch auto. RPA, that's the thing you're seeking. That's the thing you want to get. That's what everybody wants to get. It's a rookie card with a patch of his jersey and an autograph of that rookie on it. That's pretty cool. It's got everything on there. If you get a numbered one, a low numbered one, that's a pretty big deal, especially if it's a player that's highly sought after. And if you get an RPA where it's numbered with the jersey number that the jersey patches, Come on. Also, another thing I want to mention about the patches is if you get the MLB logo or the NFL logo or whatever league logo on there, that's a big deal. And then we want to talk about inserts. Inserts are extra cards that are put in with the regular base cards, and there may be one out of every 8 packs or 1 out of 6 packs, but they're a little more common than, definitely more common than autographs, or a little more common than parallels. So they're not quite as exciting as they were, say, 30 years ago when you get a Michael Jordan hologram. That was a pretty big deal. But nowadays, those extra inserts, they're not quite as sought after as they used to be, but I think they're still pretty cool, especially when it's a really cool type of insert. Like Topps does a lot of these, the throwback inserts, and I love them. I think they're pretty awesome. Find a card of a new player on an old style card, kind of like their Topps archives, but it's within the set of Topps base that you're buying now. Some of the other parallels, especially for Topps, they have like sepia tone parallels where it's kind of a sepia. I don't know if you know photography, but like a sepia tone kind of looks like an old brown photograph. They also have a negative parallel where it's the negative version of that card in black and white. That's pretty cool. All different sorts of parallels, all different kinds of colors, make all this. It's pretty cool. But all of those different parallels means it's pretty tough to get everything. So you want to hone in on the things you want to collect. Like, for instance, if you like the pink parallels, like I really love the pink parallels. They really make the cards pop. Like that Jordan Poole, it looks so much better with a pink border on it. To me, I think it's pretty cool. So it's not like I go out and specifically collect pink, but when I see a pink parallel, sometimes I'll jump on that because it's a cool pink parallel. And then we come to die cuts. What's a die cut card? So a die cut is exactly that. It's a die cut of a card. They have a special die that cuts these cards out, and now they're not 4-cornered cards. Like this one, I think, is like a 8-sided card, maybe 8 corners, I think. So it's really cool. I love it because it's a Babe Ruth die cut. I mean, that's pretty cool. There's different players, obviously, but what is tricky about it is getting them graded is tough because now you're talking about, like I said, this has 8 or 12 different corners that might get dinged up, and you're putting it into a sleeve, and now you're catching it on the side. It's a little tricky to get these graded. To be honest with you, they're not really highly sought after. Those are inserts. That's a version of an insert. They're not really highly sought after, which makes a buying opportunity for you. If you do like die cuts, you can get them cheaper than other cards usually, so that's pretty cool. So that should give you a pretty good idea of all the different types of cards you can encounter. Now you're getting back into the hobby. Now you're collecting again, and things are a little different than 1992 when you're like, sweet, I got a rookie sensation insert. Like those were a big deal back then. They're not that big of a deal anymore. Now it's just an insert. But you get a parallel of that, or a holo, or refractor. Now we're talking, that's a big deal. Now this is the series I call the Sports Card Collectors 101 series. And basically it's just the basic info that you need to know if you're stepping into the hobby first time in a while, or even if you've been in the hobby a little bit. These are some tips that can help you out as you go along. So whatever you do, make sure you collect what you love what you collect, and make sure you have a happy hobby.